Councilmember Center?
Aye.
Mayor Thomas?
Aye. The next portion of our meeting will be communications and petitions. At this point, is a portion of the meeting devoted to hearing comments and items from the public. Usually the council refers items received under this hearing to the city administrator for study and consideration at a later date. Items for the city council agenda should be submitted by 4 p.m. Wednesday, 6 days in advance of regular scheduled council meeting. We would ask if you have any comments you would like to make to council, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and please address all comments to the chair. At this time, we're open for communications and petitions. Yes, sir.
I'm John Stroud. I live on Bells Drive. I graduated from Morristown High School in 1963, and I recently retired as an economic developer serving a number of communities in Tennessee and other states. I live in Morristown by choice and not by chance. I love Morristown, and I want to do what's best for Morristown. My purpose in being here tonight is to stress to you that our world has changed. I'm sure you know that. And it's very difficult for Morristown and 6,000 other communities across the nation to compete for business that will add jobs and grow the tax base. Therefore, I think it's critical for Morristown to agree to achieve strategic goals that will help Morristown compete, and perhaps, I'm not totally familiar with the benchmark resolution later in your agenda, but that's a step in the right direction. I'm convinced that over the next 2 or 3 years, we'll have a lot of opportunities to grow our economy, and I ask you, please agree to come together now to make good decisions for our community. Many people don't know that economic development is about eliminating communities, not selecting communities. Companies may look at hundreds of communities and narrow it down to 3 to 5 communities. So therefore, Morristown may never know that it was eliminated for whatever reason. You won't read about it. You won't know about it. But it could be things that they read in the newspaper. It could be or in the media. It could be crime reports. It could be education levels or a lack of cohesive business, government, education leadership, or a lack of capacity of your utilities. And I'm sure you know these things, but some things we can control and others we can't. But I can assure you that if Morristown is to succeed in creating a highly competitive business environment, we have to have opportunities for all the voices in our community to be heard so that we can get good ideas and also to get support from those people who will probably have to pay the bill. We don't need or want a divided community that's unable to come together and unable to make decisions. To make this happen, we need a high level of honest communication and understanding, and most important, trust. Egos have to stay outside, and no one should dictate anything. None of us will ever agree on everything all the time, but we can agree to disagree in a more gentile manner than we have seen recently. Folks, it's not about this council. It's not about you, Mayor. It's about this community and what's important for this community. And now's the time for true leadership. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hi, Mr. Mayor, council members. Evan McKinley, 115 East West North Street. A quick request. I have worked in the past years at 2 different auto dealerships in town, both of them very large ones, here in the Morristown City. And they both have multiple locations, so I won't name them. However, there is something that I would like you all to consider before you bring up for the final vote and sign on. That is Saturday, 3 days ago, I was driving right here downtown on Arch Boulevard, and I happened to see in front of me in the distance a car with big yellow balloon bouncing around at 40, 50 miles an hour. And I followed it to see where it came from, and lo and behold, it went to pulled in to a dealership, and I won't name it, but let's say it's on the corner of Royston and Morristown Ford. And it also had a dealer plate on the back, so it wasn't just somebody that had been given a balloon to ride around in. Secondly, years ago when I worked at one of the dealerships, they did tie balloons to all the people, I was an outside salesperson, used and new, because they wanted to make sure the helium was fresh, to just cut the cord and cut the string on the balloon and let them go up in the atmosphere. And I said, why don't we at least collect the balloons and bring them in and put them in the trash? No, it takes too much time. Just go ahead. And I said, they're going to eventually go up and then explode, you know, in the lower atmosphere, the pressure, and then rain down in little pieces. So, I know that you all have put in there about a balloon name, name of the dealer. However, my fear is that the dealers will eventually say, this is too much expense to put our names on all these balloons, and they may use low-quality ink, it'll wash off in the rain, who knows? So, my request is, and I'd like you to consider, please consider amending the bill before you bring it up for final vote, so that you allow whatever balloons you want, but keep them on the lot, not on the vehicles that ride around, or even on the vehicles that they may release them. Because even if you're riding around at 40 miles an hour, that string can break and that's going to go somewhere. That's my request. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments, please?
My name is Gwendolyn Holden, I live at 2343 Southern Springfield. I'm not here about my agenda, I'm here about justice and truth and honesty. I want to ask about some property in the East Tennessee Property Center. And the property that I want to ask about is the Howe property that was recently purchased for the city by Mr. Cox for $157,000 according to the paper. Okay, first, I don't think it will take any research for Mr. Cox to confirm or deny that it is correct that he worked out the purchase price of $157,000 for the Howe property. So what I want to do is ask Mr. Cox, or Mayor, you can ask him for me. Did the city pay $157,000 for the Howe's 9 acres of land? And if it can't answer it, I would like to know, or get somebody to find out for me that sits on the city council.
Actually, this is the comment section, so what we'll do is take the comments.
Okay,
But we won't be able to address those.
Okay, well now I'm going to make a few comments about this and other intensive progress appraisals, because I have been trying to get it, okay? Mr. Cox had the appraisal for the house property in his office several months ago, and even mentioned the appraisal in a public meeting. But when I asked for a copy, Mr. Cox said he had given it back to the industrial board and didn't have it. So when I asked the industrial board for this and other ETPC appraisals, they gave me the appraisal of the property that had already been purchased by the city, but said they wouldn't provide the Howe appraisal because it might go into litigation. So I waited and I understood that. So a few weeks ago, after the purchase of the Howe property took place with no litigation, I again asked the industrial board for the Howe's appraisal. This time, the industrial board, through Mr. Thom Robinson, told me that they did not have the document. And Mr. Robinson said they had given the appraisal to Mr. Howe and his attorney. So my second question for Mr. Cox and this council is, and one final question is it legal for the appointed industrial board of the city of Morristown to pay for appraisals and then give these appraisals away to private individuals without keeping the original or a copy from which copies can be made for others who want to see the documents when they are no longer needed for litigation? That's all I want. I just want those questions answered. And I did do it, and I do have a paper here from Mr. Thom Robinson